Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another video. So happy you stopped by today. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a sit-down mom heart-to-heart chat. As you can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about preserving childhood and innocence in our children. And more specifically, when I make this video, I will be probably referring to my daughter because she is my oldest. However, I do have boys, one that's only a year right behind her, and I think that a lot, if not all of these things, are applicable for boys as well as girls. So if you're new and this is the first video that you're watching, it might be kind of hard to kind of jump in and understand where I'm coming from, but I have been sharing our homeschooling journey here on YouTube for about 5 years now, and so you guys have seen my oldest daughter and all of my kids, but in this video referring to my oldest daughter, go from being a little girl at the age of 7 or 8 when I started filming until now where she's going to be 14. And a lot of you who watch are homeschooling families, parents with younger kids, and you've made some observations of just through the very little I share. And that's how I know that that it's very obvious in her life, is because you guys see, if I had to give it a percentage, you probably see about 1% of my time, honestly, with the little bit that I share or post on social media, whether it be in a YouTube video or it's on an Insta story or whatever. But so many of you guys have reached out to me over the years and said, Ashlee, what have you done? Anytime I share anything specifically about her, which is not often, you know, you guys say things like, she seems so sweet and like well-adjusted, like appropriate for her age, but also like there's still this childhood and innocence about her. And so I've been asked that time and time again, and I haven't made a video like this yet. And this is something that I'm personally working on, is accepting like that I may have done a good job so far. I am very much like, oh, well, she's not 18 yet, so we've got a long ways to go. It's just getting interesting. But I think that's kind of, if I'm being super candid and going really deep into the depths of my inner workings, I think that that stems from a place of always feeling like the bottom is about to fall out from under me, from childhood issues that I have and things like that. And so I'm really working on overcoming that. And I'm also really working on overcoming this weird problem that I have with acknowledging a job well done on my part. I love complimenting others, and I know deep down that I'm doing a good job, but I just don't feel right when I vocalize that, and I want to move beyond that. So that's a little bit of what goes on in my crazy mind and heart. So rather than waiting until she's 18, because I don't know if I'll be doing YouTube at that time, I figured, you know, I think I can talk about this now. I feel like now's the time, and you guys have asked me for a long time to do this video. So I want to share with you, not like a step-by-step playbook on how to, you know, preserve your kids' childhood and protect their innocence, because there really is no step-by-step handbook. But I will share with you things that I and my husband have done that we feel like, and we did create this list together. He's not filming with me, but we were just sitting downstairs together in preparation for this video, and I was asking him like, what do you think? And so a lot of these things that I'm about to talk about with you guys are from the mouth of my husband, as well as myself. I will say that I was definitely the leader in this area of like, no, our kids aren't gonna watch that, or no, our kids aren't gonna do that. And being completely transparent, there have been moments where Jake and I have not seen eye to eye on something, but having experienced the things that I experienced as a child, and even my husband, you know, I just knew that there were certain things that were just like a hard no for me. And so this list is in no way all-encompassing. There's so much more to each of these things. Each one that I'm about to list out, I could probably talk to you for an hour about if we were sitting down and having coffee. But I wanted to make a video and share with you what I think are the most important things that I've done so far as a mom to protecting her innocence, allowing age-appropriate maturation to happen, and preserving childhood. Childhood is a lost thing in our world and in our society, and it is very sad. And so the list is in no order of importance, but we're just going to go through this, and this is probably going to get pretty lengthy because I talk a lot, and I'm sorry if you don't like that. But just stick around. I think that there's a lot of wisdom that I'm about to share with you, especially if you're someone who has watched and thought to yourself, wow, that's really amazing. Like, she's 14 or almost 14 and still, like, you know, plays with her little sister, and not because we force her to. So there's just a lot there, but I hope that this video helps you guys. Please give me a thumbs up if you like mom heart-to-heart encouragement videos, and leave me a comment down below with your thoughts or if you have anything to add to this. And of course, I always have to give a disclaimer. Everybody is going to have different convictions. Everyone is going to have a different standard. I am speaking for myself only and what God has convicted us on as a family. And we have seen fruit of these decisions. So I feel like we were definitely in God's will as we were directing in those younger years, and now we're getting to experience a little bit of the fruit that comes from having made those decisions for her young. So we're just gonna jump right in. The number one or it's not even in a list, but one of the most important things that we've done as a family to protect, preserve, lengthen, all of the above, childhood and innocence, is we have heavily filtered the music, TV, video games, media, social media, just all of the above since our kids were little. We are very aware and our family has our own convictions and standards. I get picked apart all of the time for allowing Disney or you know, like Star Wars or anything that has, like, you know, any kind of fantasy involved in it. There's so many more, but those things are things we've decided we feel are fine. Our kids are old enough to discern between. And I think that there does come a fine line in being legalistic as a parent and saying, no, we don't partake in any of that. That's when kids really rebel and they turn away from God. And so in our decision making for whatever we allowed on TV or allowed for music or whatever the case may be, our kids have always understood that the reasons why we don't do things, we will talk about that with them. And we also understand that there's certain things that, you know, like it's just silliness. Like it's not that big of a deal. So you just have to use good discernment, but we have protected our kids through a lot of it. I feel, especially for a girl, comes from, you know, any kind of movie that shows that, like, the sexualization of women, any kind of movie that's really heavy on, like, love and boyfriends and lust and all of that. Like, we don't still to this day, because my youngest is 9, we don't allow, like, boyfriend, girlfriend, teenage boyfriend, girlfriend TV shows. We will, though, allow a Disney movie where a princess marries a prince. So it just really comes down to what you feel. But this is, again, what we've done, and it's generated, we're you know, I am thankful for the choices that we've made. Jake and I also apply that to ourselves. Of course, we we might watch something that has a little bit more of an adult subject matter, but Jake and I do not watch racy movies. We do not listen like to profane music and then like the kids are around and turn it down. So we kind of model making good choices in that department, but we have done that from the early ages, and I feel like that has had a profound impact on my oldest daughter, all of my kids especially, but on how my oldest perceives things and sees herself as she's maturing, and then that can even go deeper into identity issues with like, am I valued because I'm beautiful? There's just a lot there. So we've just really filtered through the Lord and our own discernment what they're allowed to watch, what they're not allowed to watch. And when we made the choice to not watch something, it's just, we explain it to them and they understand why. So, but we also allow them to enjoy things that kids enjoy so that they don't feel stifled and they don't feel resentful, like they can't like any of the things that maybe their friends like. And so you just have to be wise when it comes to that, because you can quickly steer a child the other direction, even out of wanting to protect them. So that is probably the biggest thing we've done that I feel has lengthened her childhood and preserved her innocence. Along with that is we've delayed cell phone usage and having until the very recent years. And still, even though now she does have a cell phone because she does babysit and things like that, there are very strict security settings on it, and there are also very strict rules for having it. And because we have laid this foundational work with her, she understands that if there's any violation of our trust, then it will be no more. And so we really did it out of a place, we got her a cell phone out of a place of needing one, number one. Number two, out of a place of we cannot trust her if we've never given her something to be trusted with. And we feel she's strong enough to not be tempted to, you know, do things that she shouldn't be. And she does not have social media. She will never have social media until she is much, much older, if she wants to. And so yeah, we've done that, which I feel like has really helped. We also have always been very encouraging towards our kids of their individuality. I feel like a lot of what we think about ourselves is what is told to us. So if we live in this society and we live in this culture that says when you're a teenager, you're supposed to have an attitude with your parents. When you're a teenager, you're supposed to be annoyed by your siblings all of the time. When you're a teenager, you're supposed to just only care about boys. When you're a teenager, you're not supposed to play with toys anymore or like stuffed animals or, you know, do things. When you're a teenager, you're supposed to want to be in your room and be all alone. Those were all things that I just was like, no, that's not true at all. And it really made me question how much of what we see teenagers doing is based off of what has been told to them versus what they actually believe or want in their hearts. And so we have always, and there's been many instances where it's come up, like, Mom, do you think that I'm, you know, too old for this or that or whatever? And I'm like, no, why would you think that? There's no age limit on enjoying what you enjoy. Be yourself. You have your whole life to grow up and be a grown-up and do all the grown-up things. And take it from someone whose childhood was cut very short. You want to enjoy being a kid and being carefree. So just like what you like. And we have always had those conversations, whether it be, you know, I'm a girl and I like to play sports, or I'm a boy and I like to draw and do art, or just, you know, any of the things that kids might question you on. We've always just encouraged their individuality. And with that, enjoying being a child. Like, we have told them so many times, and we've talked about it so many times, do not be in a rush to grow up. You will be a grown-up for the majority of your life. You only get to be a kid for so long, so just have fun. And so that has always been kind of a conversation that we've had with our kids, and I feel like it definitely just kind of encourages them when they start to question, you know, am I weird because I like this? And you know, there have been those moments. I wouldn't say it's been a huge problem, but there have been those moments of like questioning, so-and-so doesn't have, you know, dolls anymore or whatever. So should I get rid of mine? And I'm like, well, do you want to get rid of yours? Well, no, I like them. Okay, then why would you get rid of something you like just to be like someone else? Well, yeah, you know, and these are like the conversations that we've had. So I feel like that's really important. The next thing kind of goes into play with that is being careful of your language as a parent. Again, a lot of what kids think is because it's told to them, whether through words or, you know, messages through books or movies or whatever. And so we've been really aware and really cognizant of not saying phrases like, you're too old for that. You know, when they get Christmas money and they want to go buy, oh, you don't need that. You're too old for that. Or, you know, things like that. Or, you know, when they're playing a game and, you know, the little sibling isn't playing the right way or whatever. It's tempting as a parent, and you should expect a certain level of maturity, but you know, you can't always just refer back to age. And so, you know, saying things like, come on, just let her get away with it. You're older than her. You know, just always pointing out their age, I feel like starts to kind of make them question things. And so we've just been really aware of not saying things like, oh, I can't believe you still like cartoons on Saturday morning. Aren't you a little old for that? Or, oh, you want to get a shirt that has that on it? Aren't you? You know, we are just really aware of that. So I feel like that has really helped. The next thing that we've done with all of our kids is we have limited their peer influence. Obviously, we made the decision to homeschool for so many reasons, but negative peer influence and over-sexualization and hypersexualization and early sexualization of children are amongst our top concerns and why we homeschool. So my kids' friends are their friends, and I know them and I know their families and I know where their kids' hearts are at for the most part. And so we have just allowed friendship to occur naturally, but also in a really safe way. Now, that doesn't mean that my daughter doesn't have friends that she might chat with on her text message from her soccer team or whatever, but she's not spending time with people that I don't know. And there will come a day where she is doing that, but in the early parts of her life, I did not feel it was safe or in her best interest to allow my daughter to have friends where I didn't really know the friend. Peer influence is probably one of the most powerful things in a kid's life. And so if their peer group is not of a positive or godly influence, you are going to recognize that quickly. And I know that people always will say to that, well, you can't protect them forever. They're going to be out in the real world soon enough. You know, those are the comments you receive. And yes, that's 100% true. But when you've laid the foundation, they're going to recognize what is a good friend, what is not a good friend. If they've had positive friendships in their lives, they're going to recognize when someone gossips about them that that is not a good friend and they don't want any part of that. They're going to know what is appropriate and what is not because they are mature enough to know these things. And so I think that it's about controlling and filtering those peer influences when your kids are younger before they are strong enough to stand on their own in that regard, which is something that we've done and have seen wonderful, wonderful fruit from making that choice for our family and our kids. The next thing comes more into play with the parents. Jake and I have always been very cognizant of not speaking, and it's not even something we want to do, right? So the Lord has refined us, and the Lord is refining you, maybe in a different way or at a different speed. But Jake and I do not speak of the opposite sex in a sexual manner. In general, we don't. And we also don't do that in front of our kids. So, you know, if your boys are growing up listening to a dad who is always, you know, berating women or talking about the size of women or this or that, or, oh, look at that, or, oh, what do you think about her, son? You know, that kind of thing. Like, we don't do that. And I think that there's a lot of power in that. Becoming attracted to the opposite sex and all of those things comes, and it does, and it is happening in our older kids' lives, but it's very natural. And again, so much of what we do is what we've seen. And so Jake and I have never, you know, I'm never like, ooh, that guy is so, you know, we just don't do that. And so I think that that has helped our kids see humans for humans, not just be constantly looking at these physical attributes of people before they're even like ready or understand why they might notice those things. So I think really controlling your tongue in front of your kids is pretty important about that, if that's something you struggle with. It hasn't really been a struggle for me. I would say men might have a little bit of a challenge more so with, you know, not saying things. Jake's never really had an issue with that, but I do know that that is a struggle for a lot of guys. And growing up, my dad was very vocal about what he thought about calendars of women. His garage had posters of women everywhere. And so I know the power that that had on me at a really young age. And so that has always been something that we have avoided doing. The next thing kind of goes into that, and we have never planted seeds of lust in our children. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't think is a big deal, but to us, it was always a really big deal. You know, when Kylie was in preschool and she went to a preschool and they would have a little Valentine's Day party, I was never the mom that was like, which one's your boyfriend? Like, that kind of stuff just grosses me out. And there have been times where, you know, where when they were young, you know, oh, do you have a crush? Like that kind of thing. Like, we never perpetuate that. We're like, no, that's your friend. Yes, they're a boy, but like, we've never made it into something that it's not. And that is a problem for when you have like family that they're not believers and they don't understand why that's such a big deal. So even like with the grandparents and stuff, they've made comments in the past and we've had to quickly like shut that down. Like, oh no, we don't do that, or we don't have that kind of talk. And it can be uncomfortable at times, but I think that that is a really powerful thing, is like, we don't plant those seeds in our kids' hearts, and it's just not a conversation that we wanted to open up. We wanted them to understand that you can have friends that are boys and girls and vice versa, and there doesn't always have to be this underlying like attraction when you're a 5-year-old. It's just so inappropriate and weird, and so we've never done that. Now my kids, again, they're getting older and they are noticing, you know, oh, so-and-so is handsome. You know, we've had conversations, but because we've never really like, oh, you know, we've never like hyped it up. It's just all very normal. And so again, that I feel is really important. Another thing that we've done that's really preserved childhood and protected innocence is by teaching appropriate dressing, modest dressing, swimsuits, you know. This is, I know a lot of people, this is where the convictions are going to vary greatly. But really, I would just say you have to pray about it. You have to model it as an example. You can't say, oh, child, you're not allowed to wear that bikini, and then you're the mom showing up in front of your your son's friends in a skimpy two-piece. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Self-respecting modesty for yourself, also being aware of other people. Now, when your kids are little, you don't really have to go into all of that. You just can say, oh no, we're gonna wear a one piece. But as they get older, and with my kids, we've explained why we wear what we wear. Now, again, convictions greatly vary, and you have to do what you feel the Lord wants you to do. So for us, we just don't do like bikini type bathing suits, and we don't wear, you know, we cover, and not in a crazy, like, over the top way. Definitely still where my daughter enjoys shopping and getting things that she thinks are stylish and cute, because she's starting to like that stuff. But she now, at this point, it's not my mom won't let me wear that. It's I don't want to wear that. Why does anybody want to wear that? Why does someone feel comfortable being out in public wearing that? And those are the moments where I'm like, thank you, Lord. Yes, this is why I did what I did, because she is making the choice for herself. So, you know, and there have been moments where she's wanted to, you know, buy something or whatever. And I just pointed out to her, I'm like, that's a little low, don't you think? And, you know, she's like, oh yeah, I don't like that. And so this is her own decision making. But again, I definitely choose appropriate clothing for myself, for my standards and my husband's standards. And so I feel like that is all very important. We also delayed introducing adult topics, things like the birds and the bees, until they were old enough to really understand that. And again, convictions will vary greatly here, but this is just what we've done. And we wanted to teach them what was right, what was God ordained, what God created, before we introduced all of the world's perversions of God's perfection. So you can read through the lines and understand what I'm saying there, but we were the ones to introduce all of those topics. We are the ones who had those conversations. And we are still having those conversations. So, you know, people, when they watch this video, they might think, wow, what a sheltered kid. No, not at all. My oldest is very aware of a lot of things. She's also unaware of some things still, because it's not time for her to know about it. But we have introduced God's way first, and then the way that it's been distorted second, and in an appropriate way. I didn't want to feel rushed to have adult conversations with her because of the fear of somebody else having a conversation or showing her something or doing something. I didn't want the world to force me to introduce adult topics to my kids before we felt they were ready and wanting to know things. We wanted for that to happen organically, and that was also a huge part of why we homeschooled and continue to homeschool. And it's been really wonderful to see, because, you know, we've covered a lot of ground with her, and her, you know, she's just turning 14, but she is very wise and understands things. And we've created a conversation and open dialogue. And so I know questions will come in the future, and there'll be more conversations that will be coming, but we set it up that way, and I'm really glad that we did. And the last little bit of advice that I have for protecting your kids' childhood and prolonging their innocence is to create a strong family unit in your house, strong sibling relationships. Have your home be a fun environment. When your home is a fun environment and you are a fun family, your children want to be there with you. They do not want to always be gone, like these weird things we're led to believe about our teenagers. Like, they're never going to want to be with you. They're going to want to be in their room with their door closed. Well, why would they want to isolate away from their family? Like, don't they want to see you? Don't they want to talk to you? And so I think that a lot of what we think is going to happen is because that's what has been told to us. We're no different than the kids. But we've just set it up in such a way that like our family enjoys being together. We have fun together. We go on so many adventures together. It's not this weird, like, you're a teenager and I'm away. I mean, yeah, there's moments of attitude and discipline and things like that, but we definitely don't encourage or allow or enforce that, like, I'm a teenager and I'm separating from my family type situation. We have an open door rule in our house. The door stays open. If the door is closed, I will quickly go and open it up and say, what are you guys doing in there? And sometimes they want to close it because it's loud or whatever, but you know, that's fine. But they know, like, we open the doors here. We have like a no secret keeping rule in our family. And we've talked with our kids at length about why secrets are a form of lying. Even if it's not something that you're keeping a secret of, if you're harboring a secret of another person, that is a form of deception and you're lying, you're withholding information. And so we have just really strived to create a strong family unit. We have not done perfectly. There is no parent who can do perfectly, but what I'm saying is we've done it well enough to where I see that what I thought having a teenager was going to be like is actually a lot different than what it is. The only thing I knew about teenagers was what I experienced, and all I knew was that I didn't want my kids to experience what I experienced. So to end this video, I just want to encourage you as a mom, if you have younger kids or a dad and you have younger kids, or even if you've got older kids and you feel like you've, you know, started maybe down the wrong path on some of these things. It is never too late to stop. It is never too late to turn around. It's never too late to say, you know, we're going to clean this area up a bit. All of these things are very, very important, and I feel passionately about protecting the innocence of children and kids. And so I just wanted to encourage you guys and share, because so many of you have been very sweet and complimentary. So sorry, my storage on my camera got all full because I've been talking with you guys for a long time, but I didn't want to feel rushed to like whip out the video YouTube style and 10 quick bullet points. I wanted to talk with you guys. So anyways, as I was saying, it's just something I feel passionately about, and I've seen the fruit of it in my oldest kids, and it's really been wonderful for me to see that, like, you can do it. You can prolong your kids' innocence no matter what is going on in our crazy world, and you can allow them to have a childhood that is a natural progression as they get older. Like, it doesn't have to be forced. It doesn't have to happen before it should, and it can be done. So I just wanted to encourage you guys and share what I have thought of as far as things that we've done that we feel have made a big impact in our family. And I hope that it helps you guys. Let me know your thoughts about all of this down below. And of course, I could have kept going on and on and on about so many of these things. So if there's anything that you want me to elaborate on further, maybe in this separate video, let me know down in the comments as well. But that is going to be it. Thank you for listening. I hope it helps. I hope it encouraged you. And even if you're already doing all of these things, I just want to tell you, like, keep it up, because it can get hard at times and you might wonder, like, is it a big deal? But I just want to encourage you to stay the course, because it is a big deal and our kids matter and they need us to protect them. It's our job as parents. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all really soon. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.